Well, looks like we get to delay the end of the season episode just at least one more week. So how about that?
Oh man, that was exciting. That's for sure. I am so happy right now.
Dude, I was like, I know I would have regretted not going to the game on Sunday if win or lose, regardless. But oh yeah, I would have been really kicking myself if I didn't get to go after the way that game went. That was what a way to end the regular season. I'll tell you that much.
Oh man, yeah, that was I yeah, because I was on the fence about going too, because I had other things going on that weekend, and it's a night game too, so like I'm pretty tired, but but I'm so glad I went, because like and that was obviously a very exciting game to be at, but regardless, there's also it's possibly the end of the season, so it's like if I had missed the last game, I'd be kind of mad. So
Yeah, because we got like what 9 months before the season starts again, so that'd have
yep,
been the. And then yeah, especially now in hindsight, to have missed that game would have been something to really kick yourself about.
yeah, exactly.
But man, yeah, what a game! Playoffs. We're actually in the playoffs, which I mean, c- considering how much hype there was going into the season, I guess I was kind of expecting that this was going to be the outcome, and especially after the first couple of weeks, I thought, hey, this is going to be a really good year. All right, cool. We have all the hype. There's a reason for the hype. Then, we hit that rough patch.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like that. There was so much that such a stall kind of in the middle of the season that was looking pretty rough, and so the fact that we can we capped it off with a win, and last home game, so a win at home plus getting to the playoffs is very sweet deal.
Yeah, they ended up in the playoffs despite themselves, their play for half the season. But hey, we did it, and that's what matters. Team is playing in Canton on Saturday, and before we get into that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Um, Obviously, season tickets well, not season tickets. Regular season's over, but tickets for the game obviously are being sold. Looks like the club seats have already been sold out in Canton for this game. So if you were looking to get in some nice cushy seats, then you missed that boat. I really enjoyed sitting in those seats, but I did not intend to sit in those anyway for this game. So not terribly upset about that, but I'm gonna be there. Super looking forward to that. But if you're a season ticket holder, you would have also received an email from the league giving you special pricing for the playoffs, including the championship game. One of the perks, obviously, that we knew going into the season was that if you get a season ticket, you would get great prices for away games, and that apparently also includes the postseason. So absolutely love it. Hopefully, we get to see a bunch of people taking advantage of that. Like I said, win or lose on Saturday, going to the game, going to the championship game last year was fantastic, hell of a time. So, I said win or lose on Saturday. I had already planned on going for the championship next Saturday, so getting to go this weekend is just an added perk up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then you're missing this weekend, but you're still thinking about being, depending on what goes on, you're gonna hopefully be there next weekend, eh?
Unfortunately, we committed to some other plans, so I will be watching, but I won't be able to attend in person, which I'm really bummed about. Hopefully next year.
Definitely gotta make sure you get out next year. Sucks you're gonna miss this year. Then all the USFL teams came out yesterday. Not exactly what I had hoped to see. We did get more players selected to all USFL than last year. Last year we just had Reggie Corbin. Obviously he was well deserved nod last year. We did get two this year. I kind of felt that was a little low. A little disappointing that some players got snubbed, but we did get a couple guys on defense. Obviously, If you've been paying attention to the team at all, you should well and truly know the two defensive guys that got picked for the All USFL team. Obviously, linebacker Frank Ginda, who is very, very much in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. And, well, I guess for that same, Breland Speaks as well, our defensive end, is probably, one of the front runners for Defensive Player of the Year as well. He was the second nod to get All USFL. So those are the two that got All USFL honors this year. I think that that's a little low. I know that our offense didn't light everything up throughout the year, but still, you had Reggie again up there with all-purpose yards. I think that he could have had some recognition. Granted, injury and then some of our offensive woes kind of limited his production, but still wouldn't have been the worst thing to give him a nod. Obviously, Levante Taylor on defense, our corner there, who has not given up a single touchdown all year. He, I think, got snubbed. There were a couple other snubs from other teams that I would have thought would have made it, but they didn't get picked. So, kind of a weird All USFL selection this year. Definitely not ones that I mostly agreed with across the board. Like last year, they were. I understood them last year. I agreed with most of them last year. This year, not so much, but it was voted on by coaches and players. So clearly they see something a little different than what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. It the choices were, yeah. I mean, there's really not much more to say about it, to be honest. They're interesting, but it'll be.
And so as far as the Player of the Year awards, we did get the Coach of the Year award and Assistant Coach of the Year award this week. That didn't go to any of the Panthers coaches. That, of course, went to the Coach of the Year went to Skip Holtz of the Birmingham Stallions, and then the Assistant Coach of the Year is actually the defensive coordinator of the Maulers, Jaron Horton. So he got that, and honestly, with what he's done with the Maulers defense, certainly well deserved. I personally think that he deserves a weekend off, and I told him as much. I told him to go ahead and take this weekend off. He laughed at that. I don't think he's going to do that, unfortunately for us. I still think the game is ultimately winnable, but still, would have been nice if he would have taken a well-deserved weekend.
Right.
And then MVP, Special Teams Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, those will be announced next week. So we don't have those to share. And hopefully, like I said, I expect to see either Ginda or Speaks get that Defensive Player of the Year award. We'll see how that goes. We do have our Defensive Player of the Year or our Player of the Year awards. At least I do. I don't know if you've thought about that yet or not. If you haven't, we can postpone that to next week and release it when they do, or we can cut to the chase and release them today if you got yours ready.
Yeah, I think we'll probably have to wait till I'll think on it and wait till next week.
Gotcha. All right. Well, then everybody will get all of those announced next week then. I believe that's pretty much it. Obviously, the season is winding down. The regular season is over with. Panthers had managed to eke out that win on Saturday, punched them their ticket, first trip to the playoffs in the very young modern USFL era. Obviously, missed it with that 2-8 record last year. So it's exciting as hell. Like I said, I'm super excited about Saturday. Great year. I really liked the year in general. Obviously, I don't think we're going to do the recap. Like I said, that we get to at least delay that another week. So not much to say other than I enjoyed it. Glad that the regular season is over. Well, as far as our struggles, glad to see that those struggles are over. Glad to see that we get to make it into the playoffs. So we have 3 more games of this 2023 USFL season. And unlike last year again, we get to be in one of them, at least one of them, hopefully 2 of the 3. So I'm ready. I'm super excited.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was super exciting to see kind of the whole team kind of start to click. On last game on Sunday. That was and kind of another side note. But something I noticed during the game. Well, not noticed, but with all the I don't know. I've watched a couple other games and I haven't really noticed anything. So I missed it or maybe it's just the city isn't doing that much. But since the lawsuit's over with, it seems like they're connecting more of the connect connecting the past USFL to the current one because at the game on Sunday they had Novo Bojovic and 2 other members of the '83 Panthers come out and they honored him. They honored them, and so that was really cool. That was actually really cool to see. So with them spurring it on, and someone mentioned in the Discord, I forgot who, but we were going back and forth about that because it'd be like, oh, how poetic could it be? Because it's kind of the same thing happened, in the '80s where we came from behind and ended up winning the first championship. So, and now that now that we have the old Panthers looking on, hopefully we can recreate that.
yeah, that was kind of what I've been hoping for all season long. Kind of what I had in the back of my mind is like, well, I mean, the last time they won the championship, obviously back in 1983, they had that slow start, the exact same thing you were saying. Like, hey, maybe this is maybe it'll mirror it, and then 40 years later we can get to have another Michigan Panthers championship winning team. So yeah, I've been keeping that in the back of my mind all season long, and we are very much in the thick of it. That can very much be a possibility. We, interestingly enough, obviously, in order to get into the playoffs, we had to beat the Philadelphia Stars, who is the team that the Panthers had to beat in the 1983 championship game for that championship. So, I mean, it's kind of aligning.
Yeah.
It seems like, seems like it's kind of perfect. So, hopefully we get to see that reality. And speaking of that game versus the Stars to punch a ticket, that was a hell of a game. And not only that, that was a hell of a crowd.
Yeah. Oh, that was the crowd was getting into it. That was so fun to see. I loved it because like the couple of later games, the crowd wasn't really that into it. It seemed like, but it seemed like a lot of people turned out for this one. Do we have the attendance numbers or?
No, we don't have the attendant number, but what I was just about to say is that they had tweeted, or Brett Zalewski, the head of tickets, tweeted this week that the 3 hubs that had games, Protective was the only, in Birmingham was the only one to not have a game. So Memphis, Detroit, and Canton, the 3 hubs that hosted games this past weekend, had either their largest turnout or their second largest turnout of the year. So I believe for the Panthers, we were like the second largest turnout. I don't know if, it spiked at the end of the week, but last I knew that it was still just kind of tracking to be the second highest turnout. So I'm assuming that for Detroit, it was the second highest turnout, but still a hell of
Probably,
a
yeah.
turnout. If it was less than week 3, it was still very close. It was a hell of a turnout. Like people packed in. If you saw pictures from before the game, like there was a huge line outside of the stadium. People knew that this was the last game. Obviously, I don't know how many people actually understood of what was on the line, what there was to to play for, but either way, everybody showed up, and damn, they got to see a good game.
Yeah, it's really and it's really interesting. It's really cool too to see the older folks in the crowd that have all their old Panthers merch on. I noticed that before the game when I went to a bar called Bookies downtown, and then before I walked over, and there there's a bunch of people in old Panthers gear there. I was like, oh, that's so cool. So that's been kind of exciting to see everyone kind of rally behind them.
Yeah, it seems like the lore, the memory, the nostalgia of the '80s Panthers is definitely alive and well. So hopefully that does, continue to carry on. And clearly it did on Sunday. Again, like you said, the first half was not super fantastic for the crowd because the team didn't exactly give the crowd a whole lot. Going into
Unfortunately,
halftime
not.
at 20-6 was not something to cheer about, especially with considering what we've seen for you know the entire 4 games before that at Ford Field and some of the other games throughout the season. So yeah, but they turned around. Obviously, second half pitched a shutout for the Stars. They didn't score a single point, which was good for us because we needed we needed them to not score anything for us to get that 17 to nothing uh, score in the second half to eke out that win. So yeah, 23-20, dude. That
Yeah,
was so nerve wracking.
yeah, that was, and, because and we were talking, yeah, we were joking around like, oh, you better score, or else we're leaving and stuff like that. And then sure enough, they do. They started scoring. And it's like, oh, all right, I guess we're in this for a long haul. And yeah, at least with the in the beginning, at least the defense was pretty solid all game. I will say that. Obviously, with the score like 20-6, it doesn't seem like it. Uh, but yeah, they were pretty solid all game, and then but then everything ramped up in the second half, obviously, and like you said, we eked out the win.
Yeah, the defense, like I said, the score doesn't really reflect it. But when you look at the time of possession for the first half, especially, and seeing just how much the Stars dominated that time of possession, and the fact that we were only down 20-6, I think is a huge testament to just how well the team had played, the defense had played in that first half as well. It was disgusting. I think it was at least 20 minutes to 10, something around that for the first half. So
Yeah, it
it
was
was it was not
ridiculous.
pretty. It was not great. It still ended up pretty lopsided. Let's see here. I didn't actually do any of the stats this week because I figured we would just be talking about the healthy, which obviously we will. But let's see, what was that time of possession? Yeah, 36 minutes for the Stars to our 24. So it was much more even in the second half. I think that certainly helped us. Obviously, EJ Perry getting comfortable and being able to make some plays with his feet. He obviously did not light up the stats. He was the one player to get the nod for player of the week for our game. He obviously did end up winning, and honestly, his stats didn't really deserve it. I don't obviously the stats didn't really show just what he brought to the team and how the fact he actually helped to lead us to a victory. But he was 12 of 23 for 121 yards and no passing touchdowns, just that one rushing touchdown, which looked like it was a broken play. Like he was going to give it to Stevie, but then he fumbled and ended up picking it up and had a lane to be able to get to the edge and score on that, which is something that was certainly sorely lacking for most of the year. So something I had been clamoring about getting Barrier in because we would have gotten to see kind of some of the similar. So nice to see that we finally made that change, and that was a very necessary change, or at least a change that gave us a spark this this last week to win. But yeah, he didn't jump off the stat sheets, but he did enough. He gave us that spark, and I think he's absolutely a big part of why we were able to win in the especially with that second half performance.
Absolutely.
Defense, oh man, let's just say the Stars got a lot of help from the refs.
Yeah, the officiating was definitely annoying. It was, 'cause there's, and that we're not talking about ticky tacky bullshit where there is a lot of missed clear egregious holds. It's like, come on.
Yeah,
uh,
the fact that the Stars, their terrible offensive line, somehow managed to hold our front seven to 0 sacks.
yeah,
Um, yeah, that should be a little fishy too. And because I mean, obviously we had Ginda, we have Naku coming, from the secondary, we have Speaks and Bell off the edges. Like, there's no way that a single one of them would not have been able to get to the quarterback, to get to Cookus, without a little bit of extra TLC from the Stars O line. And yeah, dude, that Bell especially, he was the one I noticed the most about, that he was beating his man constantly, and he was getting choked out. Like, dude had him by the throat all night long, and I think we only got like 2 or 3 holding calls off of it all night
yeah,
long, and it it was egregious. The fans, obviously, we were not happy. Definitely made a fuss about it. Like you said, not trying to complain about the ticky tack stuff like that. Like, yeah,
yeah,
and
that's just football, but getting choked out, come on.
it was disgusting. I absolutely did not appreciate that officiating crew on Sunday night, and I'm really hoping that they are not one of the league's premier crews that we get to see the next 2 weekends, because that just that would not be appreciated. If they are, at least maybe have it be in the South Championship game. They can stay the hell away from Canton. But despite that, and despite some other unsportsmanlike penalties that really were not great calls, again, the officiating crew was just abysmal, like top to bottom. Even for the Stars, they just were awful. Um, Glad that it at least allowed the game, or at least it didn't ruin the game to where it wasn't entertaining, because obviously it was probably one of the top 5 games of the season all year. So, you know, not, with the officiating withstanding, the game was fantastic. I mean, again, performance on the offense, still a lot of left to be desired. Perry's gonna have to make sure that he gets that, that connection with the center, so that we're not fumbling the ball, because I don't think that he's going to have the time to recover the ball as cleanly against the Maulers as he was able to against the Stars. So that exchange is gonna need to be cleaned up. Certainly gonna be a liability if it's not fixed. And he's gotta make some better decisions. I hope that he is told and to just run the ball if he doesn't have a throw, just to use his legs and try to get something, just to try to improvise, because he made some questionable throws on Sunday that luckily didn't result in any turnovers. It was a turnover-free game for both teams, which again, really kind of odd, but apparently that's just how they wanted to play. Both teams did, but not the greatest of decision making, which I guess I at least expected. Kind of doing a little bit of research on him, kind of seeing what we came up with. He definitely um, has some flaws in his game. Obviously, if he's playing in the USFL, as much as I love the USFL, it's not top tier quarterbacking or play across the board. So there's a reason why in the USFL, but still his decision making could be better, needs to be better. Hopefully he doesn't make the same mistakes against the Maulers, because again, as we saw with week 9 with Josh Love, Maulers are gonna capitalize on that, and they are going to create turnovers. And we're going to need to play a clean game and at least move the ball, try to control a little bit more of the clock than we did last time and last week. The last few weeks, we need to be better about controlling the clock this time.
Yeah, that's pretty much sums up my thoughts about it too. Yeah, pretty much down to the same stuff like you just said. The little ugly stuff they need to tighten up. But otherwise, they're finally starting to click, which was super nice to see. And hopefully they continue to click for the playoffs, because they'll need to be at the top of the game, and obviously, so
I mean, here's the thing. Clearly, they must have figured something out with the win or go home mentality of last week. Maybe they get to carry that into this week. But clearly, they were able to gain some sort of confidence. At least I hope so, with Sunday's win. So I'm hoping they carry that into practice this week. Hope they get prepared. As I think we've all been saying, I think most of us know all season long, we needed a little something different with the quarterback. I'll still continue to say it. I like Love as a quarterback. He just needs the right amount of protection. He just needs an offensive line that is a little more cohesive than what we currently have. And that's no fault of his, but he does have some flaws that seems to get really amplified when he doesn't have a no line. But really have been calling all year for having a mobile quarterback in, just to give a wrinkle, just to give a spark, to do something different than just having a pocket passer. Hell, when he was being rolled out more, he was playing a hell of a lot better, but we went right back away from that. I mean, it's kind of a moot point now because we do know that they are sticking with Perry this week again, so we're not going to see Love unless, heaven forbid, we have injured quarterbacks. So he's inactive again, so we're riding with Perry again. So he's going to get a full week of being that QB1. Take obviously all the first team reps. I'm hoping that he's able to kind of shore that up, because that spark that he gave was fantastic. I know from what I've been told that the fact that we have now the RPO option is going to uh, affect what the Maulers do a little bit. They are not as thrilled about having to defend against that as well. So, I like all of that potential, but yeah, can't do exactly what we did on Sunday and still expect to win. But there's a lot of potential there.
yeah, and that's awesome that the fact that we were talking about having the potential is a good sign, I think. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, but as far as the play is concerned on Sunday, I don't really have a whole lot else. I mean, more of the same. So there's not much to add. But what I really want to talk about is just, again, the atmosphere. Really hoping that we get a bunch of Panthers fans into Canton, because I want the crowd rocking. I want to have Tom Benson packed again. I don't think it's going to be as packed as the championship game will be for obvious reasons, but I hope we travel, because when we get into the game, we can get loud.
Yeah, yeah. That if we can recreate the atmosphere even a little bit that we got in forward, then that'd be awesome.
Though, if there's one thing that we cannot recreate, is getting loud when the offense is on the field.
Yeah, that was a bit odd. It's like, haven't you ever been to a football game before? Come on.
And they continue to do it, and they were getting loud. Like, it was not, all that quiet when they were doing that. I don't get it. Like you said, maybe they just not familiar with games, and with being with the USFL and the cheap art that they are, like, it's not as, cost prohibitive for people to be able to go to games.
Right, and it's like, if we're already downtown or whatever, it's easy to just grab a ticket or something. So
Yeah, so I think you're gonna see more of that, and you're gonna see kids and other people that aren't familiar with the game. So I guess that's to be expected. Still annoying, because how tight and close the game was, really didn't need anything that was going to be a distraction to our offense. And the crowd certainly, with as many people as there were there, as loud as they were getting, there was definitely a potential to impact the game. And really, really didn't need that. We needed all the production we could get from our offense and reduce the confusion. So yeah, hopefully next year people have learned and they can be quiet and we don't have that problem going forward. But for the most part, I mean, that was just oddly enough when the game was the most crucial is when the fans started getting the loudest when we were on offense. And then we're not super loud on defense until third down, which again confused the hell out of me. But uh, crowd can get better, team can get better. Plenty of room to grow for 2024. But the end of the game, though, when the game was all but assured, that chant.
Yeah. Oh, the chant. That was so good.
Now, I know why I started it. I don't know if everybody else understood why I was doing that. Because I think there were some people that were looking, because if you looked on Discord and that, there were people like, okay, but that's just weird to do the chant. I'm like, well, kind of, but not really. Like, I was doing it because one, stars were getting chippy, so they just needed to leave. But most importantly, like, you get to go home now. Like,
Yep.
you're gone. Your season's over. Like, just get to send them home because I really did not need to see them in the playoffs again. Which you get. So first time in USFL history, both 80s and modern, that the Stars have not even been in the playoffs. This is the first time. Every other time they had been in at least in the championship game, and aside from losing to the Panthers in '83 and then last year to the Stallions, they had won all of the championships. So it was definitely time for that streak to end, and I'm glad that it got to end. And well, they were being chippy about it, so I'm glad that we got to send them home with the chant. That was fun. And that got loud too, and social media took a hold of it, and they and recorded it.
Yeah,
So good.
that was awesome how quickly and loudly it took on with the rest of the crowd and really made it feel. I mean, obviously we were just talking about how much of a good crowd it was and how full it was anyway, but really filled the place up noise wise. I was like, oh dang.
Yeah, I did not expect it to get that loud, as cohesive. Like I didn't expect to spread, but it did. It was quick. Like our section picked it up, and then the entire stadium did it like it in no time. So I was pleasantly surprised, happy that it got that loud, because which again shows just that the potential that the crowd is that Detroit has for next year. So I am super excited. Now I'm even more impatient to get my season deposits because I want next April to get here already. Well, let's get the championship first, but
Right.
we got like 10 days. We have like 10 days left before the season is just completely done, and I don't want it to end. So as soon as it is July 1st, after it's July 2nd, I want it then to be mid-April of 2024 because I'm ready for another season.
Yeah, I mean, such a difference being able to go to games. I mean, obviously, hopefully they expand further into home cities, and so everyone can experience it. That's within their fan base, but it's such a difference being able to go. It's gotten me more invested, to be honest, because we talked about it last year. It was kind of hard to get into it just because it was all it was all in one place and you couldn't so that was kind of rough. So I'm very first season, but yeah. And so I yeah, definitely more invested, definitely excited. I'm glad that, all the games I went to this season have been, even though it's not the most, we weren't the best in all the games. It was still extremely fun to go to, and I hope that the crowds continue to be great going into next season, because that was just so much fun.
But I do not want to get sad about the fact that the regular season is over. I want to get pumped and get excited about the fact that we still got another game to go, at least one other game, hopefully two. This
Absolutely.
Saturday, dude. It is, obviously, we're recording this on Thursday, and Saturday, oh, I can tell you what, I am not looking forward to this drive coming up, though. Absolutely hate this drive. The fact that it's going to be all in one day, that I'm going to be driving like 7-8 hours round trip,
Hey, right.
just for a 3-hour game is a little insane, even for me. But I'm ready for it. I'm going to do it. I think, again, with the wrinkle that we have with Perry in at quarterback, and the fact that he's a mobile quarterback who is more willing to run, has the ability to run, I like our chances.
I do too.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
it's really hard for a team to win 3 games in a row against another team. I'm hoping that that plays a big role too. Again, the wrinkle that Perry brings is going to give Horton and the Maulers defense a little bit of caution. There is not much tape for Perry because he just, they just have the few plays, the one game this past week. Obviously, they have other older film for him, but nothing recent other than last week's game. So they don't have much to go off of, which is great for us because that's going to be able to cause some wrinkles. So if our offense is able to put in some new plays, get him comfortable over this past week of practice, I like our chances. I like our shot. I think there is certainly the potential. I'm not worried about our defense. I don't think our defense needs to do anything different than what they did in week 9. It'd be nice to get a turnover or two, but I mean, you're holding a team to field goals when they are getting really, really good field position, like we discussed last week. The fact that they had such great field position all game long, and we held them to 4 field goals after that opening touchdown that they had,
right.
left us completely in the game the entire time. Like, we were in the game until the very end, even with the lackluster performance by our offense. We fix that a little bit. We get our defense off the field, keep them a little more rested. I think that's going to go a long way. I'm still not afraid of their offense. We do what we have the last 2 games, especially what we did in week 9. I think give our offense plenty of chances again. Certainly going to happen. Now, obviously, what is the offense going to do? What can they do? What will they do? That's to be seen. I'm still nervous about it. Like, I do think that both of our teams are better than the 4-6 records that they have. There's been some coaching decisions by both teams, some game management decisions that I seriously questioned by both Horton and Nolan. But otherwise, I do think we are better than our records show. I think that whichever team ends up winning on Saturday is going to be very much in the running, very much competitive for the championship game next Saturday. Yeah, it's just going to come down to what our offense does. I think that simple as that. I trying to think if there's anything else I can really say to that, and no, I think what can I say that has not already been said time and time again this year? What can I say that I didn't say last week or 2 weeks ago?
Right, pretty much is like, but I definitely like our chances. And we're repeating ourselves at this point, but again, the like you said, not worried about the defense. The defense have been keeping us in games and have been stopping. Big has had some great plays and some big stops and keep us in the game. And so it's really up to the offense to kind of to bring it home. And I like our chances. And like we said earlier, we hope that coming off the win from Sunday, having them start to click and you use, like you said, Perry started to look real good, and I think it'll be a perfect storm of we're on fire, let's keep it going. And so I like our chances. I'm very excited. My the reason why I can't go is I have a wedding that I'm gonna be at, but I'm definitely gonna be that guy to watch on my phone as much as I can because I'm super excited.
I mean, who schedules a wedding during football season, huh?
Exactly.
I think both teams are going to be super high on themselves, as they should be. We both somehow managed to get into the playoffs, especially after being the bottom of the barrel last year, number 1 and 2 draft picks last year. Not going to be the case this year, which is crazy to me. I think, though, both teams were optimistic and had the potential from the start of the season. I definitely believed that at least the Panthers were going to be able to have that turnaround. Did exactly happen in the manner that I thought it was going to, but regardless, did enough in the North to get us here. Both teams should definitely be riding high. I think they are going to be riding high. I don't think either team is going to necessarily be more confident than the other. I do wonder, though, if maybe our defense will play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, considering how the Maulers, I believe, have like 5 guys from their defense on the all USFL defense, whereas we somehow only managed 2. So that'll, maybe that'll give a spark. Oh, no, never mind. It wasn't that big of a disparity. Mahler's got 3, so still 3-2. Maybe we can use that as a chip because I think Levanta will certainly. I know he for sure, 100%, without a doubt. Based off his tweets, he is feeling snubbed, and I think he has the potential to have a gigantic game on Saturday. Granted, might require Williams throwing his way, which, I mean, if you're smart, you're not going to, but expect a monster game from Taylor. Hopefully he gets a few more tackles, gets a few PBUs, and maybe even a turnover. I think he could be fueled by disrespect. It worked for Sparty for how many years with D'Antonio? It could
Right.
work for the Panthers this week.
Absolutely.
And plus, hopefully Butler on the opposite side is going to be playing with a little bit of a chip. The fact that he got ejected last week, which was just tacky. I don't think he deserved to be ejected, but whatever. Hopefully he has a chip on his shoulder because he also played fairly well through the season, but obviously he didn't get the recognition. The rest of our D line didn't get any recognition, though I don't think any of their stats really jumped off the charts this year. But I mean, the fact that they allowed Bell and Speaks to also do what they were able to do, I think speaks volumes to what they've been able to achieve. So hopefully they play angry. I'm hoping they play with the chip, and I want them to just destroy the Maulers' offense or what lack of offense they have. And and ultimately, I think it's kind of gonna come down to our offense.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I love I love good defense, and I love it when they start getting into it, and if they if they start playing with a chip on the shoulder and play like dogs, and I'm all for it.
And I'm looking here. Looks like we are pretty damn healthy this week too. We get Corian Ballard back in the secondary. He's been playing solid all year, so glad that he's back to being healthy. We should be full strength on defense. We get to actually we get to see DJ Montgomery, one of our new signees. He's been moved to the active roster this week. So I wonder what kind of wrinkles, what packages he might have for this week. So having him, if he's been able to catch on, hopefully maybe even build some chemistry with Perry, and maybe they can be a little dangerous there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm very excited to see what they put out.
And then we are also very healthy. I think we only had a few guys that had any sort of injury status, but they are all full go. So Kyle Kramer, our punter, he's full go. Corian Ballard, again, he's been activated and he's full go. Marcus Ball, he's full go, and Patty Fisher is full go. So we are at 100% strength, aside from these 6 guys that are on IR. So I'm excited. I'm ready to go. Like, I got one more sleep before, well, 2 more sleeps. One more sleep when you guys are listening to the episode. But weekend's almost here. That drive I'm not looking forward to, but the destination is good. I'm pumped, dude. I am ready to go. Again, the fact that we're here, I knew it was a possibility. Didn't really know how likely it was going to be here. I know I predicted the Panthers last week over the Stars because, I mean, let's face it, the Stars really are not that good. But that is what we forgot. That is what we skipped. Your predictions. Who do you got? What's the score?
I was just actually thinking of that when because I knew it was coming. I'm gonna say we'll probably hold them. So I think it's gonna be a little close, but I think it'll be probably I'm gonna saying 24-17 Panthers.
Okay. I think that that's a little higher. I do believe that we're going to keep the score lower. I think I've said earlier this week when recording with Hype and Web that it's going to be somewhere in the ballpark of like 17 to 13, 17 to 10, somewhere in there. I think the Panthers get the win, but it's definitely going to be low scoring. If you're betting, I absolutely would hammer the under. I don't see either defense allowing a lot of points, again, especially if our offense is able to stay on the field a little bit longer and be able to generate some points of their own this week. Then I think you're going to just be able to stay stronger, stay um,
Yeah, I'm being optimistic, but yeah, playoff games tend to go in strange, wild ways. So that's why I'm like, it might be a little higher than we think, but regardless, I think we can definitely pull out the win, and so that's my prediction.
yep. It's going to be low scoring, but you know, crack open maybe if we get another special teams score. That was fantastic. Can't believe we didn't cover that.
Oh
That
yeah, I forgot about that. Oh.
Sims went off. He well and truly deserved that special teams player of the week. Dude we would not have been in the playoffs without his performance last week. Sucks that he ended up getting injured. He injured his finger in the first half, I think, on his first return. So he didn't end up getting to really be playing on offense. Obviously, he was well enough to play on special teams, and dude made an impact. So maybe that's going to be our player of the week coming into this week. Maybe he's going to be our X factor as well as Perry. Dude's electric. He is going to be on special teams again on the depth chart. He is there for both kick and punt returns. So, dude,
Yeah.
he has another monster game. I think that'll be key. That's our biggest. Oh, that's also our biggest weakness with the Maulers. They have a fantastic special teams, kick return, punt returns. They're fantastic at it. We're gonna have to be able to control that. Obviously, like week 9, letting them get to the 29-yard line to start the game is what led them to that touchdown. I think that drive certainly would have been a little different if we had tackled a little better. So special teams needs to play better, especially against the most dangerous team on special teams in terms of returns. So I think that, as well as our offense, yeah, those are going to be the two key areas. I'm still not going to change my pick. I still think that even with that, their offense is still not going to do enough unless they get return score, which absolutely will kill us if that happens. I think that'll be too big of a momentum shifter. So keep special teams under control, and yeah, I think we could be playing next Saturday for the championship, bring home a championship for back to Detroit for the first time in 40 years. It's all in front of us. I think the team has the expertise to do it. They have the ability to do it. The Maulers team, they did have our number during the regular season, but I, it's really good. It's really hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. So, yeah, I think we get this one.
Yeah, I agreed. I think we have the will. We have the ability. We just gotta, take it home.
And then hopefully they get to, again, delay our end of season recap episode one more week. I'm ready for that. Actually, that's opposite. I am not ready for that episode. So I am ready for them to delay it so I have time to actually get all of my ducks in a row, because I've been kind of flying by the seat of my pants the last couple weeks. Obviously, as you heard, just jumping around, going back to last week's game because just completely forgot about a huge portion of the
Right.
game and what got us that victory. So clearly, I am not on my game right yet. So I definitely going to need that extra week. So that is what I'm hoping for, and that's what I'm expecting. With that, I really don't think we have anything else left to say other than let's get that championship. Let's get this dub. Let's win the North and be playing for all the marbles.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say except for go Panthers. Let's go.
Also, did you create a Twitter yet?
No, not yet.
Hey, that was part of your deal, just like my part of my deal was to go to Canton this weekend. I'm going to be upholding my end of the bargain. By next week, I expect you to uphold your bargain, your end of it.
All right.
But until then, you can follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at USFL Shadow, YouTube as well. And then I am at Cheese Soda on Twitter if you want to give me a follow. Yeah, with that, see you next week.
Have a good one.